Wanted to share something real quick about a little success I had with a client today. First of all, this is a hack for if you're driving and you have back pain. You can always put this in the tennis ball right in the middle of your back or to the side of your back or in your piriformis, hip, wherever, upper back and traps when you're driving, and it's an awesome release. So that's one way to manage tightness or chronic pain or any injury rehabilitation that you might have. So, quick story. Today I had a private client. I'm trying to get sunlight so y'all can see me. I had a private client outside. We trained. It was a beautiful, little rainy, but still beautiful day. So we went outside to use some space, and she kept telling me her hip flexor was really tired, fatigued from going when she went walking, and she just every time I had her do an exercise, she kept getting this nagging in that hip flexor. So then I had her doing a bent over row. So she was bent over, and every time she rode, then her mid back would pull. So she just couldn't bear the pull and how that felt. So what happens is a lot of people exercise, and when they're going through an exercise, they may feel these sensations and keep going. Now, if she was on her own and kept training through that pull, oh, it's fine, I'm just going to push through it, most likely she would have gotten injured. And then that injury would last weeks, and maybe it could offset other things in her body. Maybe she wouldn't heal properly or take the time to, and then that sets you back. So you really want to, when you're starting to go on this health and fitness journey, you want to learn how to train properly, or really hire a professional that's going to help you along that process. So what I did with her was, and this could be beneficial for you if you're training or any other trainer. So what I did with her was I had her do some other movements to see if the hip flexor hurt. And when your hip flexor is tight, that's on the front of your body. If by engaging the glutes, that will naturally release the hip flexor to stretch it, because the glutes tighten the front, the back tightens, the front has to lengthen in order to get that contraction in the back. So I had her do a little twisting first, stabilizing with twisting, just to make sure it wasn't localized in the back. So if she were twisting, and again, I'm not a physical therapist, but this is what I do with my clients, and I might not have the pinpointed muscle that is creating this, but if you know the general area and go through these movements to test your clients before you add load to them, you're going to definitely preserve their body and help them function better overall. So I had her stabilize her hips and just do some twisting, trunk twist rotation, and see if that bothered her. She said it didn't hurt. She did the rows standing upright, so I held a band and she did rows in a wide grip, neutral grip, and an underhand grip. None of that bothered her. So she still was, complaining about the hip flexor. So I said, all right, it doesn't seem to be something pressing in the back, meaning muscle didn't seem to be pulled in the back. So I had her go into a kneeling lunge, one knee on the ground, one leg up, and I didn't have her sink her hips down. What I did was I had her go into a pelvic tilt and squeeze the glute on the kneeling leg, and that was the hip flexor that was bothering her. So she did that. She just held it. So she held the glute squeeze, nice tall posture, belly button to spine, pelvic tilt, so tailbone curled underneath a little bit while she's squeezing on the knee, the side she's kneeling on, and she was able to feel the hip flexor release. So in that position, I had her reach the arms up, inhale, exhale, bring the arms down while continuing to stabilize in that low lunge. So she was continuing to hold the glute engaged through the movement of the arms. Inhale, exhale, about 10. And then we did rotation, stabilizing still in that low, in the hips and the glute. And she was able to, again, feel the hip flexor stretching actively, meaning the glutes engaged, so the hip flexors were naturally stretching to where they should be. That's how they should be able to, when you're squeezing your glutes, you should be able to squeeze your glutes and let the hip flexor stretch, but if you have super tight hip flexors, you're going to feel that, especially if you sit all day. So then we did the rotation where she would just reach one hand out and twist, reach the other hand, still staying in this low lunge, 10 there. After that, I had her come back up to try that bent over row again with the band, and she said she did not feel the back pull. So That's just one way you could kind of assess and troubleshoot your clients. If you are training yourself and you feel a pull during an exercise, you do not want to just keep pushing through it. You don't want to keep going. Something is not working properly in your body, meaning something is tight, causing restriction of movement and pain. And you don't want to work through that. You want to learn how to troubleshoot, and not passively stretch but actively stretch, meaning like when you contract one muscle, another muscle lengthens. So that's the idea. So whatever's tight, you don't want to contract that. You want to contract the muscle that opposes that tight muscle, and that generally releases it. So I have another client who has SI joint pain, and when her back's out, meaning her SI joints that connect the pelvis in the back of the pelvis at the base of the spine, and outside there's the SI joints of the sacrum to pelvis, and so the iliac bones in the sacrum, where that comes together. Now she's had 4 kids, so she has this chronic just SI joint pain. So when she feels off or feels out of place, we do a lot of bridges, meaning glute activation, in order to relieve all the pressure that's pulling, or whatever overactive muscle is pulling on the SI joints, to make her feel off. And usually once she gets the glutes engaged, we do regular bridges, single leg bridges, marching bridges, and she rests in between, but making sure she also is engaging the pelvic floor with the bridges. So now you're offering support in the base of the pelvis, core, belly button to spine, front of the spine, and the glutes. So you're strengthening all the musculature around those SI joints, and it relieves the SI joint pain once the muscles start to work firing to do the job that they're supposed to do, which is support your skeleton. The bones aren't designed to take the beating. The muscles, the joints, and the tendons are there to hold your bones together and support your bones. So what happens when you have a lot of muscle weakness and you start getting pain in the bones, in your joints, it's because the musculature surrounding, and this could be, there's tons of different muscles surrounding the joints. Something is either overactive or underactive, and figuring that out with your clients is super important. Figuring that out in your body is super important. The nagging pain, the things that always there, it always comes back every time I try exercising. I've tried this, I've tried that, I've tried the other thing. You need to get more specific, and a lot of us need help walking through that, whether that's a physical therapist to start, if the pain is that bad, and then going to a trainer or somebody who could help you continue this journey and train you properly. So what happens in the fitness world is a lot of people do not get trained properly, or you're taking a bunch of classes and you're overtraining your body and you're just falling into your default patterns, when the body has to be trained specifically to come out of our default patterns, whether it's sitting all day, poor posture. We all have it. So we have to work against that in our fitness and exercise life in order to really optimize the way our body functions and have a better quality of life. And to be on this fitness journey for a long term, not short term, not go hard, get hurt, go hard, get hurt. We don't want to do that. The goal is to mobilize and optimize your body, how it functions on a daily basis, so you feel better and so your quality of life improves. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. If you're a physical therapist and you want to expand on that, feel free, go ahead. Love discussing the stuff in depth. And if you are a trainer, take note or get the proper training, get a certain certification, learn from physical therapists, learn from other people who are doing corrective exercise or just more thorough evaluations with clients, and start integrating a little bit into your program. It doesn't have to be the whole thing, but you get clients that are injured, or so many people already have injuries and chronic pain, and we have to start training them properly. It's very rare you get somebody who does not have any health issues or any joint pain, any past injuries, any past surgeries, anything like that. So this fitness world and the expertise and the professionals, they already know this stuff. They already know this stuff. So if you're just starting, this is what you want to focus on, is yes, learning the basics, but also knowing that most people you encounter will already have an injury. So I have an autoimmune arthritis that has taught me a ton on how to train clients that have autoimmune disease, and it's a fine line, because exercise is a stressor, and exercise causes inflammation if you overdo it. So there's so much more that goes to your picture of health than just getting a workout in. It's calculated, it's planned, it's specific, it's a workout, it's nutrition, it's self-care, it's what does your health team look like. It's not one person. I refer my clients to other practitioners all of the time, because not one person holds all the answers and everything you need for your body. Have a great evening.